That's not bad for a first effort. This is what's officially known as an Adirondack Shelter using a DD Hammocks 3x3 tarp. It's named after a mountainous region in America as far as I'm aware. But the whole idea of it is to give an open but sheltered area to sit in or sleep in actually as well, which it's quite a neat setup. I wouldn't mind sleeping in it. With the peaked overhang here, there's a corresponding peaked ground sheet underneath where you can leave all your gear sitting, or you could actually use it as a ground sheet for lying on as well. So I'm really impressed by how big it is and how much space there is in it. And I'm pretty impressed by how easy it was to put up as well. I watched a couple of videos this morning, so I wasn't really sure what I was doing. And it was a wee bit of an experiment because everybody else has put it up has always used a ridgeline. And as you can see, I've used 2 poles instead to support the top corners of it. And then a 3rd pole to peg out the overhang sheltering bits. So yeah, I'm really impressed with that. I'm quite pleased with myself for getting it done. Getting it done first time and getting it done so easily as well, because I made an absolute horlicks the last time I set a tent up or a tarp up. So yeah, really pleased to get this one done. The reason I decided to put this shelter up today is it's particularly good for shedding the rain, and in typical fashion it seems to be at the minute, it's quite a wet day here today, and I fancy coming out to the woods to make my lunch, and but I didn't want to sit in the rain, but I didn't want the rain to put me off either. So that's the next step now, is to get lunch made. Brought my camp chair with me today. I'm treating myself. Oh, perfect timing, the rain's just started. It's very cosy and comfy in here. I'm kind of right back at the back of the tarp here, but if I could be bothered, I could actually tie it back. There is a spare tie out point there, and if I pulled that back with another guy line, I could create a good bit more space in here. If I was going to sleep in it at night, I think I would do that. But I'm just going to use it for cooking, and so I can't really be bothered now. It's quite a chilly day, but it's actually really mild sitting in underneath here. It's amazing how much it just cuts the air down, and I suppose that amongst the trees it's not as windy either. But it's just nice and cosy sitting in here. Really impressed with it as a shelter, very much. I'll put a wee diagram up now actually, maybe, and just show you the tie out points that's used and how the actual tarp's laid out in the ground, and where you peg it, where you put the poles. So these are the instructions for setting up a DD Hammocks tarp 3x3 meters in an Adirondack shelter style. So this is your normal layout of a 3x3 tarp with your ridge line running across the center. The first thing that you need to do is you need to turn it on a diagonal so that you've got one of the points facing towards the front and one of the points facing towards the back. These 4 points, here and here and here and here, are your key locations on the tarp for this case. Now you can set this up in 2 ways. The standard way is to set it up on using a ridge line, and in that case you would connect these 2 points to your ridge line first, and then you would peg out these 2 points at the back. Because I set it up with the poles, the more important thing is to get the back of it ready first. So these 2 points are pegged out first. You have a straight line running across there, and then you use your poles, one here and one here, giving you a straight line across here. This section here at the back is what gets tucked under to give you your mini ground sheet on the inside. This section here becomes your overhang. The pegging point for the side of the shelter is this one and this one. So they get brought around in a bit of an angle depending on how high you have the tarp set, or your pole set here at the front. The higher the poles are at the front, the more the angle will go towards the outside. The shorter you bring them, the more it will come in, although not that tight. Yeah, well, maybe that tight depending if you set them down nice and low. In my case, I set the poles quite high. I think I set them at about 120, maybe even 130 centimeters, as I wanted to maximize the headroom within the shelter so that I could sit in my chair while I was cooking out of the rain. So, simple as that, nice and easy. Two pegging points at the back, 2 points at the front for your poles or on your ridgeline, and 2 pegging points here. Once you have the shelter up, if you want to extend the headroom inside, you can either take that ridgeline connection or this ridgeline connection, most likely this one, and you can take a guy line out to the back. That will pull your shelter out a little bit and giving you a bit more space in the back in there. And then your front guy line is connected to this tie out point and goes out towards the front. In my case, I tied it off to another pole, but you could use a branch from a tree, obviously, or even tie it to a tree, or you could just peg it to the ground, depending on the angle that you want on it. Again, the reason I used the pole was I wanted to maximize the height of it. Anyway, back to the video. So I effectively have this up using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pegs. 7 pegs, 3 poles, and 3 guy lines as well. As I said, you could use an extra peg and guy line. You could use 2 less poles by doing a ridge line instead, and you could actually do this from scratch just by bringing the tarp and cutting some sticks to use as pegs, cutting poles, cutting branches off trees to use instead of poles. So yeah, very much could be used as an emergency proper full-on bushcraft shelter. So yeah, very impressed, as I say. Anyway, time for lunch. Sorry about the short and abrupt ending. The GoPro battery couldn't cope with the cold here in the woods today, so it died on me. Anyway, you can see just where I was there, I'm all cleared up now, so the ground all nice and clear, all my rubbish packed away, and everything cleaned up and tidy, left behind again. I really needed that today. It was a real tonic to get out. I sat in yesterday all day after my aborted walk on the International Appalachian Trail, so it was just nice to get out today. I was looking at the weather forecast and feeling down and gloomy about it because it was so wet today again, but that's where the tarp really comes into its own. It was absolutely fantastic to be able to come out, set it up so quickly, and have proper shelter out of the wind. Out of the rain, sorry, and still enjoy a really nice day in the woods. So a pretty short video, this one, I would say, altogether. Thanks for coming along and joining me. I hope you did enjoy it, and as always, look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.